Okay, so this is the last of our videos for the day. We're also going to talk about goal setting theory and what does this suggest about how your manager should help to motivate you. Now, we'll go through this slide rather directly in asking about goal setting and how that can matter. So the idea per your chapter is that goal setting works in a few different ways. One is because it directs behavior toward the right things, the things that you really want to achieve. It also energizes you to be more persistent if you have a goal where you would not be necessarily before. And it increases the incentive to seek out new information to obtain that goal. All three of these are very beneficial and actually help you. But there are a number of problems with goal setting. One of them is that people are not very specific about what the goal should be. So, in an indirect world, something like, I want to lose weight, but not actually putting a time frame on it or a specific but reasonable amount of weight to lose. Goals must be specific. And you also, as a manager, your manager should also get you involved. We know that people will take more ownership over goal setting if it's not just handed to them to say, okay, well, here your goals are. Instead, your manager might talk to you and say, what are some of the goals that you'd like to achieve within the context of your working as an intern here? What are some of the longer term goals that you have if you indeed want to be hired on a full-time basis? And allow you and her to work in conjunction with each other to create the goals. The argument is you'll be more motivated if you have a hand in it. And you have to be wary of setting goals that could be misaligned with other goals relevant to the organization's success. So, for example, the chapter describes the NPR interview conducted on how mortgage brokers their goals were to sell, this is during the 2008 financial crisis, that mortgage brokers were incentivized to sell as many mortgages as they could, but they weren't necessarily incentivized to make the right loans because they could just sell them to other companies, and then if the loan went bad, it didn't affect the organization anymore. So your boss needs to make sure that whatever goals you and she set, they are consistent with the organization's success. So, for example, your goals need not step on the other work of other executive administrative assistants, as one example, or harm the organization in any way. So the bottom line is, I hope you can see that the motivation theories are very practical, and they can help us think about how to diagnose situations in terms of individuals and why they may or may not be motivated, and they can also help us to create a workplace that is conducive to a motivated workforce. So the chapter states who can be motivated, under what circumstances, and during what time frame. Motivation is very, very complex, but these theories can help us think about how to practically aid motivation in practice. It may or may well be that motivating is not within your control, because sometimes, it depends on what people's drives are. It may well be that, say for the sake of it, let's tweak this. Say you were working as an intern at a private equity firm, but you wanted to be an artist as a full-time employee. It may well be that your boss can only motivate you so much because your goal is really to be elsewhere, and this is solely an opportunity to make money. And maybe you are not necessarily that intrinsically motivated toward mastering every task you engage in, or just doing a good job for the sake of the organization. So it may be that she can better help you in that case to be motivated, but it may not. As a manager, however, you need to diagnose the situation prior to throwing up your hands in dismay and just saying, this person is just unmotivated, because maybe there are things that she can do to help you. And the best place for her to start with you is to have a candid conversation, to ask you the types of issues that you're having. Has she been clear about her expectations for you? That gets to the notion of expectancy theory and whether we believe our effort can translate into performance. What kinds of needs do you have? What motivates you? Is it money? Is it the job? How motivating do you find the job? So all these things can be very, very helpful to you and to her in benefiting the organization. Now, again, it's very likely that I'm going to do some mini quiz to make sure you've watched this whole thing. So if you have, kudos to you, congratulations, and you'll do well in my mini quiz. And I also look forward to seeing you next week and you know that we are doing the IDEO case, and I want you to really be prepared for that. Because there are it's a really cool case, and it builds on our pooper scooper insight activity that you did earlier in the semester. Hope you have a good weekend.